Hi everyone, thank you for coming. So my festival is next week, so I was a little last minute on preparing what I was going to talk about today, but that's okay. I'm still working on the time management thing. It's a work in progress. I'm Abigail Smith, and I am in the Catapult program on behalf of the Quality Block Party, which is a music festival and nonprofit organization here in St. John. We are a year old. We're celebrating our first birthday next week with our second biannual festival. We started last year during the ECMAs when they were in town. We saw it as an opportunity to showcase New Brunswick music and art when there was an occasion that there was over 1,000 delegates and musicians in St. John that maybe haven't even been there before and weren't from New Brunswick and hadn't experienced a lot of the breadth that New Brunswick music has to offer. So we saw that as a good launching off point, and it was amazing. And even without those extra 1,000 delegates in town, when we did our second event in the August of last year, it was even more well attended. And so I'm a co-founder along with Corey Bonnevie, Peter Rowan, and Cole Savoie. They're amazing people, all musicians / artist managers in St. John. I came to music as a business in a really interesting way, and also I think staying in St. John in mine is a very St. John story because I actually moved here to do a trade. I was planning on being here for 8 months at NBCC, and then to leave, as Maritimers do, and go work out west. But I left the trades. I stayed here because of art, and I stayed here, and I'm probably going to stay here in a permanent way because of music. So that's really exciting for me, and kind of part of the message that I try to bring to the whole Quality Block Party story, because that is why I'm here. As a business and a festival, we have kind of a unique model, because we do 2 festivals a year in St. John because we're insane, and we want to make things as difficult as possible for ourselves. So we have our festivals in April and in August. So the April one's obviously next week, and it's from April 27th to 29th. We have 57 bands, or 57 acts. Oh my God, I feel like throwing up. We have 57 acts next week, and 10 venues, one of which is Sarah Jones's Art Gallery. We also have shows at Taco Pica, at Peppers, at Callahan's, at Rogue Coffee, at our headquarters, which is right beside Backstreet Records, which also, incidentally, there's a show there right now for Record Store Day. So I'm kind of in 2 places at once right now. But yeah, our mandate is to represent New Brunswick to the rest of Canada. And so aside from the flagship festivals that we do here, we also bring New Brunswick artists to showcases and other festivals in the country. We're going to Canadian Music Week in May. That's in Toronto. We have showcased at the Halifax Pop Explosion and at Pop Montreal. It's really important to us to show the kind of width of New Brunswick music. Next week, there is everything from Lad and Lasses, an amazing band, obviously, to experimental noise music, to jazz, to rap. New Brunswick can make anything, and so that's what we're really trying to highlight. Our business is really intimately connected to this city. The name actually is from the little historical fun fact of the Buston family in the 70s having the cues installed in the brick on the corner of Princess and Germain and King and Germain. And they were designating it the Quality Block, which is really interesting. And when we were looking for a name for it, that kind of just fell into our laps because we were like, oh, it's already in the brick, so perfect. And but what comes with that is that kind of a philanthropic side to our business. We are really, as ArtsLink's mandate, we pay our artists. We want artists to feel valued, and we understand the amount of work that goes into making work. So that also kind of leads us into some fundraising components and other kind of resource generating for venues. St. John's in a really interesting space right now. It's changing a lot, and so we've been in collaboration with city planners on changing entertainment bylaws, for instance, since the bylaws for noise complaints in St. John's still reflected as a purely industrial city and one without entertainment. So that's really, it's good news. It's exciting that St. John's changing in that way. We worked with Picaroons. They sold a beer that a portion of which proceeds went to this fund to help put in soundproofing into businesses that use their space as a venue, and to also facilitate with any fees that come along. Like, let's say that someone actually did get a noise complaint fee, and we would help them financially to support that payment. So that's really important to us, and we do. We're all really preoccupied with having all ages shows in St. John. Most venues are bars, and I know back when I was a teenager in Sackville, all I wanted to do was be close to music, which is obviously why I'm a festival organizer now, because that hasn't really changed. We want to be able to make a space for teenagers and young people in St. John to actually be able to hone their own musical craft and be able to interact with older, more established musicians, and not have to force kids to sneak into bars to see a show that's really meaningful to them. Yeah, so and within that, part of our mandate is to offer as many free shows as possible. We do sell tickets to our shows. The pass for the weekend is $40, but we do as much as possible for free because we understand that the purpose is to have a community-based festival. So we get most of our revenue from grants and sponsorships. So we don't need to, and that gives us a lot of freedom because we don't need to rely on ticket sales, and we can offer as much free programming as possible. And we also have an educational component to it because we do some workshops. Sarah gave a great workshop last August. I'm surprised by how nervous I am right now. Anyway, so again, our festival is next week. It starts from the 27th, goes to the 29th. I encourage you to follow us and like us on Facebook and Instagram. We're just Quality Block Party. And definitely come out to the shows because there is definitely, I can say this emphatically, something for everyone at our festival. And yeah, thank you to ArtsLink. It's interesting to transfer from being an audience member to a professional in this business. It was a little hard getting up at 9 because my business and social life is all after midnight, but that's okay. It's good for me. I'm growing up. And it was especially valuable to be in a room with people from different disciplines because resource sharing in that way is really important to me. And I think that I learned a lot from my classmates as well as from the program itself. So thank you, Sarah and ArtsLink.